purpose work. And that's kind of just fallen into my hands the more and more I've chosen to be authentically myself. And, currently right now, I'm really focusing on uplifting specifically the masculine collective because I'm seeing what's happening within the space of the masculine and the feminine energies right now on this planet, and how it's really, we're diminishing masculinity to a point that it's not allowing men to be men again. And that's something I've been aware of. And, if you guys like check out my channel, like I used to be a participant in like the whole over sexualization of the woman's body. I had OnlyFans for like a month, and through that I kind of turned like my karma into my dharma. And from my past mistakes, I now have a really high responsibility that I've taken very seriously in my life to motivate men back into their power through the feminine mirror that I think men are needing right now.
Okay, awesome. So this intro will be cut out. I'll start the recording here in a second. So there will be a couple questions I'll ask you about. I'll talk to you about like how female nature operates, just to give
Hmm.
the dudes who listen to me selling insurance like a glimpse into what a woman's internalizing, and my perspectives on it. So we'll have a little talk there, and then emotion, logic, kind of like why masculinity is demoralized in today's economy and stuff like that. So if you're cool talking about that stuff, we'll get started.
Yeah, I'm very cool about that. I love it.
Okay, perfect. So what's up, guys? I have a new friend that I just found on YouTube here. So we connected virtually. I sent her an email. I wanted to get her on here for you guys to kind of get a glimpse into the girl next door's brain and how they operate. What a girl like you thinks about what's going on with masculinity in the world today, and kind of how men are, I wouldn't say oppressed, but like masculinity's frowned upon. You shouldn't be a strong man. You should let the world and people walk all over you. And when you popped up on my like suggested videos the other day, it was just interesting. It just caught my eye, so I started listening to how you're talking about men, and I was like, let me see if this girl will chat with me. So to start this off, my mother told me to never ask a lady this question, but I have to. How young are you, dear?
I just turned 24, like last weekend.
Okay, see, you're still a baby. I'm only a couple years older than you.
Okay.
So I really want to dive into this, and I want to help men understand what women are thinking and internalizing in you guys' heads. So because it's one of our biggest misconceptions of how men view women and how you guys operate. So a lot of us think, especially me, when I first started dating, getting in the world, it's like women are complete slaves to their emotions. They act on how they feel. And I want to try to get a glimpse into how you actually like will respond to that, because I'm not a woman. I can't understand how you look at the world, but I do try to understand the lens you guys view reality through. And it's my belief that a woman's emotion is like a man's logic. So men call women crazy, vice versa. We have these generalizations that our genders throw at one another, but it's like all women can't be crazy if every woman understands how another woman feels.
Hmm.
Just like
Hmm.
men are put in a situation, we do what makes sense logically. You guys do what makes you feel right. I mean, am I getting that
Hmm.
right?
You actually are, and it comes down to like the emotional principle that we as women have is designed that way. We needed our emotional guidance to honestly, like generations ago, to assist men in their own leadership capabilities by having that intuitive channel to raise children properly. The emotions are, for men and women, we all have emotional guidance, and emotions are a part of being a human being. I think for men in today's society, we're allowing men to become too over identified to their emotions and not using their emotions to actually fuel them into, their purpose work, into up leveling maybe mentally, and being the leaders of society. And a woman's emotions can assist men in that way, just by being intuitive within that. But then again, that's also a touchy label nowadays because women can just say, oh, it's my intuition, but it could actually not be her intuition. It could be years and years of trauma that's being perceived through the lens of maybe how she's perceiving men or certain situations. So it is a kind of it's a touchy topic, but we as human beings all have emotions, and emotions are not wrong. But I do think if they're over identified to within women and men, that's where a lot of destruction can come in, because emotions aren't here to like make us suppressed or make us anything. They're here to actually guide us in this life to our betterment if we allow them to.
No, I love that. I think most men are just bitches today. They
I
don't say what they
calling
mean
out the
to
truth.
say.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's the thing with me when it comes to like speaking to men and speaking to women. When I first started my YouTube channel, I tried talking to women. Because I'm a pretty like when I talk, I kind of say the truth, and the truth can be really triggering at times. But for me, it's what's important right now is calling out stupidity, because I feel like we've been living in a really stupid society, and people are more stupid than ever. Like sometimes like certain things, I had to delete Instagram, I had to delete certain things because I was losing my brain cells like actually participating in certain things. And the more you speak your truth and you call out like the bullshit, the more you're actually doing at least something for the betterment of today's society, instead of just being indoctrinated by a programming that's making all of us weak.
Yeah, I think it's that's why masculinity is so demoralizing, because when you have people that are responsible for building society and infrastructure, it's the men. That's what we do. We build, we create, we are the authors of how things, how society is really constructed. And it's like all these government and politics and news channels, like being a man is wrong. It no, like and the
Hmm.
rise of feminism and all this shit. It's just all this stuff compiling. It's like a lot of weight for these dudes, and they can't handle the fucking pressure. And it's
Yeah.
like fathers are missing. It's like all this stuff is going on. It's like they're just scared to be fucking dudes. And it reminds me of Plato's quote. It says, "Ignorance is the root and stem of every evil."
I love that. I love that
Yeah,
so
and
much because
it just hits so deep. So I mean, like from a women's perspective, this whole thing of masculinity being demoralized and almost like you should be punished for being a man. If you were born a man, you were born wrong. Like you need to go get your shit cut off and or chemically castrated from drinking the tap water.
hmm
What is your perspective on that? I'm curious.
Yeah, I first and foremost, I just like I really do see what's happening in today's society. I do, and that's why I show up every day and I make videos, just trying to speak, just truth and honesty within it. Within the masculine collective, though, we're making men way too feminine in so many ways. Not allowing men to have voices, and if they dare speak about the opposite, like if they speak about maybe what's contrary to what's happening today, and they're actually speaking out upon the illusions and everything, then it's like, oh, that's toxic masculinity. And we're very easily we label men now misogynist or toxic masculinity, and it's really not. It's just a lot. Like for me, I want men to be men again. I love when a man. I would rather see a man in rage, in anger, than in depression and despair. And in today's generation, we would rather see men in depression, despair, being controlled over big pharma and numbing their emotions, because actually anger is a level up from despair. You're actually closer up the emotional scale to, you know, purpose, passion, leadership. Despair and depression are at the lower end of your emotional scale. So to actually allow men to be stuck in that, and especially when we're medicating our men in like, men's mental health is not really talked about enough. And men's mental health isn't talked about enough because we don't want to talk about it. The more men wake up to their power, the more men actually get angry, get enraged about what's going on. That's when true change can happen. That's when we can break the confines that have been put up upon our programmed mind. And that's what I want to see. I actually would rather see a lot more men in their anger, in their sacred anger, because they should be angry for all the right reasons. Just as women should be being real with themselves in today's society. We view femininity now is so, I would honestly, I like to say it's actually more suppressed than it used to be because now we're using femininity in a manipulative way that's actually a cover up for our very own toxic masculinity within women. Because we all have masculine, we all have feminine energies. And I think right now in today's society, women are really the ones that are being embodied within toxic masculinity, which is allowing us as women to perceive men as toxic from our very own toxic programming that has honestly been passed down just from generational lines that, women have been mistreated by men. But I don't think that should ever be an excuse to bring the past into the here and now moment because we as a society have work to do for the next generation. Because I will not raise my children in what's happening right now in society. And that's a huge purpose of mine is like really waking people up and waking men up. I want to see more men lead. I want to see more men in their purpose work, more discipline, mastering something other than their emotions, allowing men to use their emotions to fuel them forward and not be on antidepressants. A man on antidepressants, a man on all these things, and I'm not a doctor, but there's better ways to go about it. You're literally a slave. When if anyone's on the antidepressants, you're becoming a slave to the government.
You become a slave to how you feel if you can't deal with your own shit as a dude. It's when you see a guy crying, I'm curious. Like over something small, the guys who can't handle pressure, like what do you honestly think of him? Like, will you quit being a pussy, dude? And like come pin me on the wall or something? It's like, what do you think?
Um, I think there's a time and place for a good cry. I think crying, it depends. It really does depend. If I see a dude crying like because I don't know, like over like things that maybe would he would get a better he would actually feel more empowered maybe if there was more anger. But then again, men are we're not taught, we don't teach men about emotions in today's society. A cry here and there, I wouldn't like look, especially if it was like my man and he was crying over something that I could be like, okay, I understand. But if
Yeah,
it's
if his
something
dog
that's like
died,
light,
that's reasonable. If his dog died,
yeah.
that's reasonable. Dog or man's best friend. But like, oh no,
Yeah.
my girlfriend broke up with me.
No, I would rather see like a man. I honestly think I want to see more men angry in today's society. I don't want to see them crying. I want to use their tears to, for like we said, the right reasons. Like understand emotions, but I would way rather see my man angry than yeah, in despair or depression.
Well, you should see how pissed off I get in the morning, sweetheart. So, next question. What do you think about nice guys? Like, it's my we have this quote that says nice guys finish last. And I think it's because you girls just see through the bullshit and you see men for the essence and the embodiment
Mhm.
of what they really are. Meaning, this guy is just playing nice because he's
Yeah.
too scared to tell me the truth that he wants to get in my pants and that sex is a
Mhm.
big part of his life, like it is for every dude. It's in our fucking biology. It's how we
Yeah.
procreate and spread our genetics. So it's like when a guy is just too big of a bitch to say, hey,
Yeah.
I think you're fucking sexy. If no one was
Yeah.
here, like, and you were
Mhm.
my girl, your clothes would already be off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hmm. The nice guy thing, for me, I think, obviously I love a man who's nice. Like being a kind individual is a great quality that men should have. But if you're using kindness as a manipulative way to like, just have no backbone, be very passive to women just so you can get a woman, like that's not healthy at all. And that's what a lot of men do, I think.
That's what I used to
A lot of
do.
Well, and a lot of men have to settle nowadays because of the women in today's society. A lot of men, like, they will play up the nice guy just to maybe get with the woman because maybe they haven't like controlled, like I said, like the sexual discipline in today's society is really important, self mastery within that department. But um, the nice guy thing, like for me, it's like I want a man to have boundaries with me. If I cross the line, I would love to be checked by my man. If my man can't check me because he's scared of what I may do, that's not healthy because I personally want to view my man as the leader. I actually want that. I want my man to it's actually attractive to a woman that's actually healed. She won't be triggered by a man telling her what to do. She in like a healthy way. She wouldn't be triggered by a man maybe being like, "Hey, you crossed that boundary, like don't let that happen again," or like, things that but in like a healthy way, obviously, not like in a condescending way at all, but I want a guy to have a backbone. I want a guy to have a voice, to have a say, to check a woman if she needs to be checked. And that's a healthy thing for women to do to men as well. We all need that. Relationships are mirrors. So it's really important to get into a healed spot where you don't take a person's perspective or criticism as an attack on you. It's just a reflection of maybe a part you can't see yourself.
Women are direct reflections of a man's like biggest weaknesses and insecurities. You give her, oh man, you're insecure. She'll bring it out of you, especially to get some
Mhm.
attention. Because I know you girls love attention. It's what you need. So when it's like hot girls don't get told no. So yeah, because of societal standards, girls will comment on my shit on Facebook because I say some off
Mhm.
the wall shit, and they're like, misogynist. It's like, uh, you're a terrible dude, but it's like they'll send me messages behind the scenes. It's like that was the hottest thing I've ever saw a guy say on Facebook. It's like
Right.
women in public are going to conform. It's a safety mechanism to keep you guys safe
Mhm.
because you ain't got hands, you can't fight. It's just part of
Mhm.
that. It's not what you're known
Yeah.
for. It's not what you're good at. So it makes me want like how many messages did you get a day on Instagram?
Oh, well, like, this time last year, I was a part of that. Like, thank God I've healed that wound of mine of like the constant need for validation. And that's something that is really just on the rise within men and women, just being in a media age that, we seek external validation rather than just our own. And when you do have your own validation, you're really free from a lot of the confines that have been entrapped by us. But um, you know, what was your question again? Sorry, I just
Like
sometimes I
when you were on Instagram and social media, it's like I want guys to realize how many
yes.
messages and how much attention you guys get. And some like I guarantee you half of it is insane shit. Like guys being like
Oh,
cooked out beta males, like, can you come piss on my chest? Or hey mommy. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
oh my gosh. I could, yeah, there's a lot. And like, for me, like I started posting myself half naked online when I was 16 and I gained a following of middle-aged men and I thought it was just like a normal thing. So that's something I was like just really used to and that's kind of why I fell down that trap. But I would get middle-aged men wanting to fly me out when I was 16. Also I still get this. I don't know why this is on the such a huge thing. I'm curious, but like people with fetishes, like foot fetishes, people wanting me to like do things for money and a lot of things or just the most like just simp things ever of just and it's not actually women don't actually want that in a man. That's the funniest thing, but they do it. And then they actually reward these men by being like, "Oh, thank you." Like, "Oh, like a lot of women love it cuz a lot of people just need validation. So it feels so good exposing yourself half naked in today's society is glorified. Like we actually celebrate it. We celebrate women being a part of the sexual slave industry. It's celebrated through rap songs, music industry, movies, advertisements. We're feeding off the woman's body, which is leaving women just completely tarnished, femininity completely tarnished. There's no mystery to women. You can probably see a woman's tits before you even have a intellectual conversation with a woman. There's no room. There's no there. I like to say this: the female body to me now is so we've made it boring. We've made it not sacred. We've made it kind of in a way a little dirty. And I'm trying to do the cleanup work within men and women because the women's body is like it's so sacred, it's so beautiful, just as like men are as well. But we've tarnished it. We've tarnished it, and it needs to be brought to our awareness, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, it's been monetized and put on display for the world to see. It's like I don't want to date a girl that has a history of that. It's like, I want to know
Yeah.
what's behind the clothes. I want to know that you have worn turtlenecks and you've stayed in the basement like your whole life. Why were like, how do you already know how to open the truck door? Like, how many dudes' trucks have you been in? Like,
Yeah.
that's what men want. I want to give you all of your first time experiences. I want to take you out
Right.
of the country. I want to do this for you. That's what men feed off of. It's that respect piece. It's like that's what we view as love.
Hmm.
It's so funny that you say that. And if you're a dude fucking messaging girls like this, like you're lost, dude. You're a
You
dipshit.
are lost. And that's what these men I view as just like the unpicked puppy in the litter, just like the kind of the mutt of the litter, just no one picked him. He's just kind of settling for anyone who, you know, gives him any sort of like I don't know what guys honestly even gain. I don't even know what guys gain by liking an ass picture of an like I don't understand it. I get it that it's like you as men are wired. You guys are very sexually wired. I'm aware of that to procreate, to your lineage and stuff. I'm very aware of that. But for me, we have to be real as well as you're really feeding this industry more every time you like an ass picture, every time you like an over sexualized woman, and then you actually complain about the women in today's society. You have no right to complain because you're actually participating in it, which is why I deleted my Instagram. I'm no longer a participant in the things I complain about, because if I was still participating in it, I would be a hypocrite and I would have no right talking about the things I talk about.
Yeah, these dudes fuel the shit. When you're buying farts in a jar for $500, like, the
It's
fuck are
so
you doing, dude?
sad. It's really sick. Like we yeah, we're kind of being it's a sick society right now, and we're fueling and we're feeding off of one another's complete disconnect to our higher mind, our higher power, our intelligence even. Not a lot of people are just intelligent human beings anymore.
It goes back to ignorance, but it's like these dudes, they're taking the easy way out of life instead of becoming a man who earns he's rewarded with sex by the things he's accomplished, and like girls are just throwing himself at him like he's fucking Chris Brown at a concert. It's like, no, you're choosing to just pay your way out of it. It's like I can just use
Yeah.
money and make a browser subscription and go to page 6 because I've seen everything
Hmm.
on the first 5 pages. It's like
Yeah.
it's that disgusting.
Yeah,
So
it is.
my next question is, what are some things that a man does that makes you just go like, fuck, I wish this guy would just come talk to me. It's like, oh,
Mm.
I can tell he's like hung the way he walks. It's like, what does that for you?
um, I think first and foremost, we can't lie. Like the first thing I notice is how a man carries himself. In the world. Is he does he care about his body? Does he care
Oh,
about
dad
like
bods. Those are my
yeah,
favorite. When girls lie and say they love dad bods, like, no, when a girl sees a fat body, how I think she thinks
no.
is like, this guy doesn't love himself. He doesn't respect
Yeah.
himself. He doesn't take care of himself. He won't take care of me. I'm not safe with him. He's not worthy of reproduction.
And that's the first thing I'm aware of. If a man can't take care of himself, if he doesn't have, a confidence to him, he's not a confident man, which is actually really an unsafe man because you're putting your weak thoughts behind your success. You're putting your weak thoughts before your success. You're putting your weak thoughts before your purpose work. So that means you're going to put your weak thoughts before a woman. So the actual makeup of a man is just biologically is what we as women look for. Can you provide? Can you protect? Can you lead? These are very just instinctual things that women can say that, oh, it doesn't matter anymore. Like or men and women can say that, but it's in our innate body. That's what we're programmed, and that's important part of life and picking and discerning a partner. So number one is that. And honestly, for me, I love like the key quality I really do respect is a man with discipline and just discipline in his life. A man who has like a specific goal in mind, a specific purpose, dedicates his time and energy to something far above just who he is now. He's always looking forward to the future. He always has his family in mind. Is he a family oriented man? That's something that's really important to me, especially because I'm really in my feminine. I want a family and I want a man who can respect his family and is selfless in that way. So every action he does, that's a forward moving action. He always has his family in mind. He always has a grander picture that motivates him. He doesn't allow his past self to keep him small. He's always looking forward. Another thing for me is humbleness. I like a guy who's just humble, who doesn't have to like boast about everything all the time for validation, because men also need validation a lot. So if he always
Well,
has to
that
be
for
on,
us is respect. We want to be respected and pedestalized, which is like,
right,
I think it's the opposite for the women. It's like the moment I have ever put a woman on a pedestal in the relationship, like she was above me, and I took my eyes off my purpose and what I was working on,
hmm,
she's gone. She loses respect instantly. He's settled for me. I can do better. I have a new boyfriend already in my brain. I'll break up with him in 6 months and let him off easy.
yeah, and that's actually the truth of it. And a lot of women will do these things
I
and
get
then
called
actually
toxic.
admit,
I get called toxic for saying this shit. It's like, no, like I've messed up so many times with women in my younger ages that I intrinsically know now. I understand. It's like this guy understands us. Cancel him. Cancel him. He's sharing
yeah,
too many secrets.
it's scary, especially even like when I first started calling this shit out. People like women would just say, I hate women. I don't like women. You know, there was a lot of people calling me out just for being a hater. And it's the complete opposite. It's actually the way I'm going about things right now. I personally believe it's the smartest way. By us as women empowering men back into their masculinity, it then allows us permission to be in our femininity, which every woman truly wants, but we're fighting against men just to prove to men what are we even proving to men, that we're men, but then we're not even allowing men to be men, and then we're getting mad at men for not stepping up to the plate, being the protector, provider, leaders. Well, that's because you're putting that on yourself. You're not even allowing men to offer that to you, and if they do offer that to you, how dare they offer that to you? You don't think I can do it myself? So it's this really like back and forth game that will never allow women or men to win. It's a losing game.
Yeah, government politics and mainly uh, profits, like these huge companies, just billions of dollars fueling these narratives that like these ideas of feminism that anything a man can do, a woman can do. It's like we are both very different. We are not equal in any way, shape, or form. Like our
No.
biology is totally different, but it's teaching these women that are like drop dead gorgeous. Like it's okay to sell your body and your feet pictures, and you can go out there and focus on a career instead of your family, which is what biologically is what most women are most happiest from, like their kids and the social clan, their
Mhm.
unit. Women love being supportive and serving for a man that they deem worthy of it to, like a man that I can submit to and not even have to think. He doesn't even make me think. It's like that's what they want to ascribe to. But it's all these agendas trying to tell women that, hey, in your 20s and your 30s, your most vital years when you're most fertile, go fuck
Mhm.
it up and chase a career. Go
Mhm.
fuck it up and
It's
chase
so
a career.
crazy.
Don't have a kid. And then when they hit 40, they're messaging me
Yeah.
because they realize they're in, like, what's the best word for this? I won't say deteriorating, but like a declining asset in terms of
It's
reproduction.
the truth.
You have
Yes.
10% of your fertility in like your eggs when you're 30. So it's
Yeah.
like these girls realize at 40 they fucked up. They go through an identity crisis saying, I got all this attention just because I was beautiful, not because I did
Mhm.
anything to deserve it. It's like, I have no
Mhm.
clue who I am now. Oh, fuck.
Mhm.
Like, I need a kid. I need a kid. Someone come fill me up. Here's Mason. It,
Mhm.
it blows my mind.
It's honestly, and this is why I talk about the things I talk about, because I see it. That's where women in today's society right now are heading. They're gonna be sure they're in their 20s, they look good, they're hot, they have any man that they want. They find it actually acceptable to sleep around with anyone. This is the number one thing that I want women and also men to know. A woman who's actually really easy to be in the bed with, that's a really huge red flag. It means she has zero self-respect. She actually is not even in touch with her own femininity, because a true feminine woman would actually take the time to discern a man who's even allowed to be within her. She would actually view herself as sacred and not just a masturbation tool for men just to do just what, for validation, to make you feel good. There's a huge void in men and women today, and even in men. I don't think sleeping around I is really acceptable in today's society, because what it's doing, it's breaking your soul. It's allowing your discerning. We all have like discernment within people, and the more we sleep around, the more our energetic field gets fogged over. We lose touch to just our truth, our essence. We would rather feel we would rather fill our voids with other people than to actually just take a period of isolation, of just maybe learning how to love yourself, maybe just learning how to be okay by yourself, learning maybe emotional regulation, learning things that, like right now in my life, I want children, I want to be married. What am I doing? I'm learning how to be a good wife. I'm listening to the right things. I'm reading parenting books. I'm setting myself up. So when I do have that man in my life, I'm ready. I can fully commit to someone. I'm in a healthy energetic. I won't, we use men a lot as emotional punching bags. That's something that's not okay. A
See,
lot of
that's
shit.
one thing that drives me
Yeah.
nuts is like us men, we have to resort what we're worst at, which is
Yeah.
communicating. But the moment we do something wrong, you guys use what you're best at, which is emotional manipulation. And that shit drives most men insane. I can handle it fine because I have no problem telling you, like, shut the hell
Yeah.
up. Let's just go get some fucking food. Like, you need to
Yeah.
chill your ass out. But other dudes, they're like, oh, they're so scared to walk away or put their foot down. It's like you're not
Oh,
gonna fucking talk to me like that.
yeah. Yeah. I'm sick a little bit, sorry.
Oh, it's all
Um,
good. I'm getting you all choked up. So, but that's
no, it's
another
funny.
thing.
No,
A
it's
man
really
has to
funny.
be like, a man has to fit all these boxes in you guys' brain. Am I wrong? But it's like you got to be charming, funny. It's like you guys have a laundry list of requirements to be the best possible suitor. Like, what is the who is the best mate for me? Who can give me the best chance of offspring and safety and security? It's how you guys are primed. So,
Mm.
what are some of like the requirements for most women that most men you think are unaware of? Because it's like you have to work
Mm.
on how good you communicate and being disciplined. It's all that stuff. So, like, tell me what some of those are.
Well, for me, I just wanna first and foremost, like, we as women, we have a laundry list of things we want men to be, but we ourselves have to be equivalent to that man. So me this time last year, me wanting to be with a man who was a protector, provider, and a leader, but I was exposing myself every day. I was degrading myself. I could give two shits if of like how my repre or my what would the word be? My reputation, how
Reputation.
would that impact my man? I didn't have that in mind. I didn't care. I just was very selfish. So
Oh,
now in yeah.
yeah, I hate to interrupt, but that is so big right there. If you want to know if your woman really cares about you, one, she'll spend money on you. But two, she will never corrupt like your self-image because a woman is a direct reflection of her man. So a woman that respects you and cares about you and she's truly loyal to you, she will not make you look like a fool out in public. She will not slander your self-image of how society views you because like a woman is valued based on the type of man she can attract and more importantly retain. So it's
Mhm.
like I can tell if a woman respects a man if I'm out in public and we get in like a argument and she just rolls her eyes. She knows her man's a bitch. It's like
Mhm.
the girl just told on you, dude.
Yeah, yeah. It's true.
So that I am so glad you brought that up because it goes back to that respect piece. That is the only thing a man truly wants is just like, will this woman like have crazy sex with me and will she be respectful? Like, will she
Yeah.
make me feel like a fucking king? It's like,
Yeah.
men are so simple. We are wrapped
I
around
know.
females' fucking fingers if you guys use it properly.
Yeah, and I've become aware of this just naturally. Like, for me, what's honestly, and I think this is really important just to touch on, is like what's brought me to this place was actually going through a breakup and me really having to face myself. And through that breakup, I had to face, okay, I was degrading myself this whole time. I wasn't showing up authentically, which didn't give my partner the privilege to actually see me in the light I wanted to be seen. You know, I was over identified to my body, my looks, my sexuality, which wasn't actually making me a respectable woman at all. And how could another person respect you when you don't respect yourself?
Well, you
People
can't.
are no,
That's
you
one
you
thing I
really
want women to
can't.
realize is they act like all men are pigs, but it's like understand from our perspective that we cannot objectify and sexualize you unless you do it to yourself first. If you put
Yeah,
yourself out there like an obstacle or a spectacle, that's how we're going to treat it.
it's true.
Us men are simple creatures. It's the logical thing to do.
And it is that's the thing, it's true simplicity, and going back to the simplicity of how it always was is the way to go. Men are very and I realize that men honestly are very simple, and we make it way too complicated just based upon, I think, our own wants and needs that we as women haven't been able to give ourselves, so that makes us dependent on a man to feed our very own insecurities and voids. So when they're not behaving correctly, we act out because they're not giving us what we're needing out of them, which is either validation, making us feel like a priority. When honestly, in a man's life, I don't think a woman should ever be a man's main priority
Thank
ever.
you.
Should
Thank
all
you.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. I'm not attracted. If a man put me first all the time, I would lose respect for him because he's not putting his purpose first. That's a mere he needs to put his purpose first, himself first, so then he can lead the family in a healthy way. If I'm first, if the kids are first, we're not going to be under a safe roof because who's looking after you? I'll definitely do my best to look after you, but you got to look after the forward moving energy of this ever changing life. You have to have that in line. So, men, don't put your woman first. I'm going to just call it out. Don't do it.
That
Don't do
that's
it.
that's one thing I put on Facebook one day. I said the worst thing you can do is give a woman everything she's ever wished for. And
Mm-hmm.
then people were like, "You hate women. You know nothing about us." And it's like I think they were all just like feminists or liberals. They were all
Mm-hmm.
idiots. But it's
Yeah.
like that's the truth of it all. The moment you put a woman on a pedestal, you put her in a leadership position that's very masculine. She does not know how to be a fucking man, nor does she want to. So it's
Yeah,
like
they might think they want to, but then they actually get into that role and they see what men have to go through and how it's not for a woman. We as women were not supposed to be in that role. We're just not. And it actually tarnishes women the more we try to. It depletes us. It depletes our life force. It makes us even like just not even just look good. Like women who are overly masculine, they don't even look good. They sure maybe they have like pretty features or whatever, but you actually maybe have a relationship with them. It's not attractive. I don't know why any man, a true like straight male, would want to be with a masculine woman. It just
they
doesn't make
wouldn't
sense.
because it becomes competition in the house, and I'm not going to compete for what's rightfully fucking mine.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but in my eyes, like if I was a girl, I'm going to think a man's entitled. The man just gets what he wants. He goes after it. I'd expect men
yeah.
to be entitled and fucking act like it. Dude, you have a dick and balls. Act like it.
Hmm.
Approach me.
Hmm.
Tell me the fucking truth.
Yeah,
Tell me how it really works. Tell me how it is. Lay down the law, baby. It's like
yeah.
that's what a fucking girl wants
Yeah, we do, and that's the thing. But a lot of women are actually scared of masculinity in today's
because of
society.
society.
Yeah, because of society, and it's not wrong. It's actually the safest thing in today's society because when men are feminine, we're not living in a safe world. There's no protectors. There's no one who can
No, they
buck
become
up.
school shooters.
Exactly. It's the sad reality, and like that's the thing. It's just the truth, and I know the truth can be super triggering. I got triggered when I had to face myself and my parts, but it wasn't an excuse for me anymore. I saw what it had done in my life. It didn't bring me success. It didn't bring me feeling good about myself. It made me on a leash. I was on a leash to a society that was just using me, because I fell for it. And when you awaken to these things and you can actually take control over your mind, your sexuality, your power, then you can actually take control over your whole entire life, your family, your generational line that's to come. That's what matters. What matter the whole, making money off OnlyFans and having these cars, these houses as a woman, it's not empowering because you're gonna be alone in that house probably. You're
Yeah,
gonna probably
have
be
fun with
driving
your
around
40
in a
fucking cats. Have fun with your
yeah,
40 cats.
because I'm gonna be really real, you guys. If I was a man, and people always call me like I'm a pick me girl, but it's just the truth. I put myself in a man's shoes. Would I want to marry a woman who was ran through with 100 bodies or over sexualizing herself? Absolutely not. I wouldn't want to be tied to that because that would make me a part of that, actually a participant within her, which would make me a really disrespectful man.
It makes dudes like it cucks dudes out because us men, we want the most purest and beautiful woman, most innocent woman to show like, hey, look what we got. I'm the
Mhm.
top fucking dog. It's a
Mhm.
competition thing for men. And it's like men are interested in a woman's past, just like women are interested in a man's future. We want a clean slate. We don't want a girl with trauma. And fuck, like that's why I think trauma is terrible for women, great for men. It fucking shapes you. It teaches you how to use anger and shit, and not become some fucking idiot who's smoking heroin or something like a fucking reject.
Yeah.
Degenerate gamblers. You guys,
Yeah.
you guys are putting your dicks into pencil sharpeners every day. You're fucking your life up. But
Mhm.
this conversation is
True.
so interesting in terms of female dynamics. Like men need women just like women need men. That whole like societal standards thing, forming impressions and ideologies that become values these women live by. It's like that's what a man's there to fucking protect you from, the lies of culture and society. You need a fucking man.
Mhm.
I don't care how much money you make, bitch. Like the more money you make, the more men you weed out of the dating pool. I would never
It's
date
just
Oprah. Like I would never date Oprah. Just like if anything happens to Jay-Z and Beyonce, where is Beyonce gonna go? She's not gonna find a better dude because she's weeded everyone else out. Same with fucking Taylor Swift or any of that shit.
I know, and that's the thing that we're teaching women in today's society, just through the programming of our role models for women. Who are our role models for women
Liars
in
like fucking
today's
Cardi B.
yes,
Liars.
yes,
It's
Megan the
like I
Stallion,
don't.
over sexualization, Instagram models even making it seem like that's an appropriate career path to go down. We'd actually rather in today's society see women being top selling OnlyFans content creators than stay at home moms and wives because that's suppressed now for women. A woman who wants to be at home catering to her man and her family, that's a suppressed
That's
woman.
oppressive, Maya. That's oppressive.
Yeah.
You're a
Yeah.
misogynist.
I know that's what they would say to me because that's honestly what I want. That's like a purpose of mine. I one when a woman can actually just truly surrender into her femininity, it's like that's the biggest win for a
She
woman. A
doesn't
woman
have
who
to
can
think.
no, you just got to be in your feminine essence. You got to and that's what women want to that's the thing. It's like we do like that's what we want. Our heart desires that. We can lie to ourselves all we want, but it's not getting us into what we are desiring at all. Like at all. We're not even allowing ourselves to discern a good man who could bring that to our future because we're looking at men through the same lens as how we just view our trauma from maybe because we have the whole daddy issue thing too, I think is such a bullshit excuse in today's society. We're falling back on our us having daddy issues. That shit does not matter. I really think in today's society, therapists have also failed us because we're allowing our women, our men, just to be overly identified to our past. And that shit has gone by. We have to actually start taking accountability for everything in our lives. And that's where true freedom comes from.
Yeah, women today hate being held accountable because they're like, oh fuck.
Mhm.
So
I know.
that's
I
what I
know.
call womenese. Like women will say one thing, but they mean a completely, entirely different thing. It's like when when women say like, well, there's a pay gap, like that shit's bullshit. Women say they want equality of women say they want equality. That's not what they really mean. They want equality of outcome, meaning I want to do none of the work and get the same results you are because I'm
Yeah.
entitled. That's how I grew up. I'm a woman. I'm beautiful. I deserve it. And I don't think there's anything
Mhm.
wrong with that. But it's like
Mhm.
women hate being held accountable. And when you speak womenese, you can see what women are. You have to understand what women are really fucking saying. You got to read between the lines. Women want to feel good, not think about shit.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want the lifestyle. They want like I've got a magic purse. If I see these 3 wooden arrows that say "Live, Laugh, and Love" on Amazon, I want to buy them for the house. It's like you have to give her that shit. And it's like
Yeah.
there's only one. Let me know what you think about this statement. There's only one thing you cannot make a woman feel, and that's bored.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
yeah, that's
I view you guys kind of like cats. If you just leave a cat with a ball of yarn, it'll slap it around for a few seconds, then fuck off and go try to catch a mouse. But if you throw it
yeah.
a ball of yarn and like pull on the thread, it's like, oh, give me something to chase.
Yes. Yes,
You
it's
guys are
very
little like
accurate.
cougars inside.
Yes. And I honestly just think, like, in reality, I think, there's so much overcomplication upon to it, and it's being way overly we complicate things way too much in our society. We mind fuck each other every day. And it's not good. Like, let's go back to the simple principles of masculinity and femininity. Why can't we just follow that? It will actually bring forth a lot of healthy circumstances in our lives when we allow when women actually want to be women again. But guess what? Women will actually be forced to be women again when men are in their masculinity because they won't tolerate the bullshit that women are doing in today's society.
No, I absolutely love that. Most men are asleep to their masculine power because that's what women just expect from us naturally. That's how they've grown up. It's how we've always operated. It's what got us to where we are in the world today. And we don't need to change anything. We don't need to
Right.
change anything. It's like that's what women expect. A man to just go after what the fuck he wants, and his word is law. She respects a man who says what he means what he says. He will die on that hill. He is not wrong, even if he is.
Mhm.
It's like, can you defend your ideas and get past my shit test that I'm giving you when I say I have a boyfriend when I really don't?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
That leads me to my next question is like, how should a guy approach? Because I don't think a man should be on dating apps just to get stuck in a girl's inbox to fucking stroke her ego. Like you're just gonna get friend zoned for what? 14.99 a month?
Mhm.
You're paying to become
Mhm.
friends? The fuck?
Mhm.
It's like how should a guy
Mhm.
approach a girl? Because I'm very simple in my approach. I don't care if I
Yeah.
get rejected in a full group. I'll like, hey, I just thought you were like fucking sexy
Yeah.
over there. I'd feel like a coward if I didn't get your name. And I think we would have fun if we went out for a coffee sometimes.
Mhm.
What's your number? If I get shot down,
Mhm.
oh well. Certain girls will respond, certain girls won't. Oh well, I'm going to go
Mhm.
on about my day. It doesn't phase me.
Yeah.
But it's like, how, in your opinion, how should a guy approach you? Like, when and how would you want to be approached? So let's say you're at the gym, you see that guy, he's like, oh fuck, he's got a beard, he's got the tattoos, he's like, he
Yeah.
looks kind of strong. He's got that taper and the broadness. How should he approach you?
That's a great question. I do want to just first touch on the whole dating app thing. I think honestly in today's society, I think I've never been on a dating app and I don't think anyone should be on a dating app. I find it very unnormal. I find it's allowing men to not have any self-confidence, and self-confidence doesn't just happen. It comes from overcoming your mind. That's how true confidence actually happens, is by overcoming the things that maybe you don't want to do, but you do it anyways. Even if you say get turned down, even if you get a girl's number, whatever, you're building confidence. So that's really important. I think, doing it naturally. Um, for me, it's interesting. I think like the ideal setting would just honestly just like be I'm such an old lady. I don't know. I don't really go out anywhere. I'm like at home most of the day. I like go to let's say ideally I'm usually at a coffee shop. So it'd be at a coffee shop and let's say a man does want to come and approach me. He's there's no like teeter totter. He's not like stumbling on his words. He comes in, like announces himself. He knows what he wants to say. He has an idea like, okay, like I want to get your number. I want to take you out. It's not just like, oh, I want to like, you don't have to say too much. Just say what you needs to be said. Get the girl's number. If she gives you her number, great. If not, like move on with your life
Next,
and don't make yeah, next. It's good. Next. It's
the
great.
guys
It's
who sit
great.
there and wait for when I hear the word choosing signals, I just fucking crack up because in a girl's eyes, she's like, I shouldn't even have to give you a signal, dude. You're a dude. You have balls. Like, just come talk to me. It's like that shit's hot to a girl.
Mhm.
So, and it's like
Yeah.
you also, since you have balls, you have to act like you've been there before. There's a guy in the NFL, I can't remember his name, but I learned this concept from him that every time he scored a touchdown, he wasn't like other dudes where he'd celebrate and shit like that. Like, don't celebrate when you get a girl's number. Act like it's fucking normal, like it happens every day. Because women do not want a man that other women do not want.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I just think like when you do it, just and I think it's great to practice. Even like maybe start going up to women and just complimenting them. Like and that can kind of just build confidence, like little things you can do cuz or just kind of just go just say fuck like your weak mind and just kind of go after it. Go after what you want just in life in general. Go after the things you want regardless of the outcomes. Like if you're wanting it, if you're desiring it, kind of just pounce on it. Like, that's always going to be attractive to a woman even if she doesn't give you her number. She'll actually respect you at least for coming up.
Yeah, rather than being looked at like a bitch, because then she's gonna put like talk about you in the group chat with all of her friends that go to the same gym. She's like, you know that guy who wears that cut off Nike t-shirt and like
Mhm.
the baggy like stay away from this dude. He's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he
and I think that's the thing too. It's like with the signals, it's like, oh, like guys are taught like, oh, well, if she doesn't like, she has to give you eye contact
if
for
he
like
wipes
5
her hair
seconds.
behind her ear twice, that means she wants you to approach. Like no, girls just
But it's
they're in
not the
their own
truth.
world. You just have to go fucking do it. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be as blunt as me in my approach. I can get away with shit that other a lot of guys can't just because I have the balls to fucking do it. But it's like
Hmm.
you don't have to be like, look, I just thought you were fucking sexy. Like
Yeah.
I wanted to rip your fucking clothes off. It's like
Yeah.
I can get away with that shit. Most guys like start off small. Like, hey, I just
Yeah.
thought you were extremely attractive. I feel like a coward if I didn't ask for your name and your number. It's like I'd love to take you out to coffee sometime. So it's so
Hmm.
simple. Some girls will
Hmm.
respond, some girls won't. You don't have this isn't rocket science, dude.
And I think it's also really important to be aware of like what's the setting of you picking up women? Like is it in a spot where it's like, just a day-to-day thing, or are you like looking at girls at like a bar? Like picking up girls at bars or nightclubs, like that's not for me at least. I don't think that's a great sign because
No,
women know like when they
those are
it's not a good
attention
setting.
whores and those are busy bitches. I
Yeah.
hate like a girl who's always busy, like I don't trust at all. A girl who's always out with her friends in Cabo, she flew here. It's like, who's paying for this shit? Because I know you're not.
Hmm.
It's like, what are you doing? Do you have a secret Instagram? It's like I automatically assume the worst about this female. It's
Yeah.
maybe I'm a dickhead sometimes, but oh
No,
well.
I think
Yeah, the
it's
context
important
matters
though.
as well.
It and it's important because we're talking about our life here. Like we don't realistically, we don't want to waste our life just kind of testing the waters out all the time. If you know what you're wanting and you stick to that and you don't settle for anything less than what you're deserving of, first and foremost, you have to know what you're deserving of and you actually have to embody the person that would be a match to the ideal partner that you'd want. And then from there, it becomes really simple. You can weed out people very easily if they're in alignment, if not. Asking the correct questions at the beginning of the first date, the second date, instead of just sleeping with one another, creating soul ties, and then feeding off of your guys' insecurities and wounds and trauma, because that's how trauma bonds are formed by sleeping with one another right away.
Yeah, for men it's very different just because like I can have complete like unattachment from sex.
Right.
It doesn't emotionally affect me
Right.
in any way, shape, or form. But for most guys, they're slaves to how they feel as well. So they're like, oh, I'm in love with this girl now. It's like, I've done that shit on purpose just to see how women would react, and it scares them off every single fucking time. And it's
Right.
like, okay, like this just doesn't work. I don't care how good I
Yeah.
am in bed. Like you, when you settle like that, rather than letting her pursue the whole "what are we?" When you have a girl asking that, you've kind of got her in the bag. Like, "What are we?" I don't want to be seen as a fool because that's what they're
Mhm.
worried about. Their perception, how others are going to view them. But you can't do that. So for the most part, most of you just need to quit fucking being slaves to sex and like, oh, she's got a fat ass. It's like you guys
Mhm.
need to take time to really develop yourself and become fucking disciplined and quit being slaves to compulsion.
Mhm.
It's ruining a lot of you, you and you little porn addicts. So
Yeah, and that's what I'm really passionate about too, because I see it and I see the true disturbances it can bring upon men and also women just as a byproduct of that is just the over sexualization and men having zero
well, it's because
self-control.
men,
Yeah.
there was a study. It's like 1 out of 3 men have not had sex in the last year or something like that. So it's like 30% of men just don't ever get any action. So the girls hold that over their head. Oh, you
Mhm.
want sex? It's like you have to do this. They find gods that they can walk all over and steamroll over. It's like stay away from those
Mhm.
fucking girls because they're
Mhm.
the ones going out to the clubs. It's and it demoralizes men. It's like you have unrealistic expectations about what sex really looks like. Because I can tell you, most of the girls don't want cum shots in their fucking face. They don't want to be treated like it. They don't want you to try the tornado twister 3000 that you watched in the latest fucking video. That shit's not real, guys. It's all fucking fake. That shit's scripted. It's not real. The girls are not like that. If anything, they're like, and it just this
Mhm.
whole weird,
It
awkward scenario. You're like, go get the towel. I'm sorry. You got to kind of pick them up.
Well,
Uh,
especially when you do that with someone that you don't even really know. Like, you know, the aspect of sex with your partner, it can get really great when you're actually fully committed to a partner and who you guys can actually have that safety where it's like you guys can experiment with things and it's not looked at as like, oh, like I don't even know this person I just did that to. This is like a little weird, like I don't know. But like when you do form that emotional intimacy with one another, when you guys are in alignment in a lot of ways, that allows a lot of freedom just to experience one another in a grandness and within safety and like within just like what men actually do want to experience, which maybe is some like wild stuff. Well, don't do that to just like the girl you found off Tinder. She'll for sure probably accept that because she wants to feel seen by you and wanted because women desire that. They want men's you know, pursuit of them. So that makes sense. But in the long term, women don't actually just want to open their legs to a guy the first time they meet. They're only doing that because they think that it'll make men want them more, which in actually it makes them lose respect for women if you can get with her right away.
no, 100%. And guys, like, if you like, women are so weird. They're always in their head, especially during sex. You're thinking how great this feels, and she's not having like any type of fun because she's over here worried, like, do I look good from this angle? Like, is he going to
Mm.
see this scar, this pimple down here? Like, and it's like they, you freak them out because they're not comfortable, and then they don't ever have any orgasm, and sex is just never fun. It gets boring, and
Yeah.
then she's fucking sending me messages. So
Yeah.
here's my last question for you. What is we've talked about women all like for the last hour, and I really appreciate you coming on here because this has been a fun conversation. And you have your head screwed on straight for the most part as a woman. So I'm proud of you at least for that. What is your biggest question about men? Like if you
Mm.
ask me, like what goes on in the man's brain? So I'll speak for the
Yeah. That's a great
'cause maybe
question.
a girl's watching this. She's like, they've talked about all of our secrets. A guy knows how to like get me wet with his words now. It's like,
Hmm.
what is that girl? What are you wondering about a man?
That's a really great question, and, like, I think the first question that came to me is because I know that, it depends on the specific type of man, right? Because there's different individuals, like, the masculine collective, like, there's different people, but I think, like, for the most part in today's society is I guess for me, let's say, like, because a man has, like, these sexual urges, right? Like, they're very programmed for, to procreate with other
Spread my seed
women
as many times as possible. Spread my genetics for the survival of the lineage, and yeah.
yeah. And I'm aware of that, but I also do think it's important maybe to ask this question of, that aside, can a man truly be fulfilled completely within just one woman for, like, the rest of his life?
This is going to be a very, let me think of how I'm going to process this for you because I look at this in a couple different lights. So, from my standpoint, I understand we live in a world of paradoxes where two things can be true at the exact same time. There is no light without dark. There is no good without evil. There's always equal and opposite forces.
Mhm,
So, while I think the true measure of wealth is being very content with little, I think we are all, us men, we are primed to want more, better, faster, new. Like,
right,
we have a car right now, let me get a nicer one. I got a hot
right,
girlfriend right now, let me get a fucking sexier and freakier one who has wilder
mhm,
fantasies. It's like we
mhm,
always want more and better shit. But I think that's where it comes down to at a certain point when you're a man, you have to realize that, like, if you're a man right now with no options, you cannot say you're loyal because
mhm,
you are only loyal because you are forced to be. That is the only girl you can get out of either sympathy or she's just settling for you right now, waiting for fucking me to come along or a better dude.
mhm,
So
mhm,
it's once you have the abundance of girls, then I think you can choose the one that you are most fulfilled by or who gives you, because us men, we want peace of mind. It's like, give us a blowjob, make us some food, like, it,
mhm,
just make our lives easier. We don't want to come home and they fucking bitch and argue about who's in charge of what and money. It's like, do you understand? I
mhm,
just worked 16 hours today to fucking give you this house and this credit card
mhm.
that you buy whatever you want off of. Like, just
Yeah,
suck my fucking dick. That's what most guys are
mhm,
thinking for the most part. But it's like, if they have no options or abundance of options, like the man who has only ate one apple, maybe he got a bad apple, but because that's his only apple, that's what he thinks a good apple tastes like. I've
mhm,
had 1,000
mhm,
apples. I know what a good apple tastes like. I can weed out the ones that got worms in them or they've already had a bite taken out of them, and I can go for the best one, the most ripe.
mhm,
So that's how we look at it. I think once you have the abundance, if you are a disciplined man and you are not a slave to your own biology, then you will be content in a monogamous relationship
mhm,
simply because of you're cutting out all the distractions and all the noise of having multiple women. It's like for the last couple of years after my ex fiance and I split up, I've done a lot of things in terms of personal growth, learning how women operate. And it's like I've dated multiple girls for the last couple of years, but it's like I'm to the point now where it's just like, who is going to be the best mother for my children? Who is going to give me the most peace of mind and spiritual like protection? Because I trust a woman's
mhm,
intuition. If she says, "Babe, I don't think you should go out tonight. I have a bad feeling." I trust that, and I stay home, and we have crazy sex, or we go do something fucking fun. I don't know. We
mhm.
go try anything but sushi in Austin. Since I just maybe we go to comedy show. I don't know, but we do something fun. I want to give her an experience, but it's like that's what I think in terms of can a man settle for one woman, but I don't think you can ever let her know that you settled.
Mm.
You have to
Yeah.
act, you always have to act like you can go anywhere, you can walk away at any time because that's the only leverage a man has. And if you're not willing to walk away from the table, you have no bargaining power in the deal. And
Mhm,
women just perform better when there's the threat of like outside competition coming in. She's like, oh, this girl
mhm,
ain't gonna do this better than me. Ain't nobody gonna please
mm,
my man like I will. And if you want a woman that will
mhm.
never leave you, she's always loyal. It's like that's the type of girl you want.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah,
answer your
and
question?
Yeah, no, it really does, because I think it can get a little confusing, I think, for women, because, men, I'm aware how men are programmed, and, like, for women at least, like, um true safety comes from commitment. Like, that's how a woman can fully actually surrender into her femininity, when there is no, um like you said, like, for me, like, the outside competition of, like, other women wanting, like, a man and stuff and all of that, and, like, that makes her perform better. I think it definitely does. But then, women are very different too, because if I had, like, a man who was always, like, having multiple, like, options thrown at him, there would be a a a piece of me that would feel very unsafe within that, and that would actually make me probably, like, not fully, like, for me, what's most important within a man, because I know what I bring to the table, that's my thing. I know how I'll treat a man. I know the amount of loyalty and respect I can give to a man. So I want a man to fully be able to commit to that as well, and to commit to a future timeline. And I don't want to play the games. Like, that's one thing about the right woman doesn't want to play games with you. She wants to just submit. She wants to make your life easier. She wants to show you respect. And it'll show throughout every action, everything she does will be to make your life easier, because I know a right man does everything in his power to make my life easier. So I think there's that level of just respect within one another, especially entering into a relationship container where it's like, all right, we've experienced enough people to know what exactly we're wanting. At the end of the day, I think we as human beings, we need a life partner. We want a life partner. We don't want to be playing all these wild games, sleeping around with everyone. Like, obviously have your fun, but I think it comes to a point when you're mature enough to be like, the most amount of freedom truly comes from 100% commitment to one person. That's true freedom.
Well, in terms of like gender, commitment and loyalty and these like definitions are very different for each gender. So it's like how I view it is like a woman who has complete certainty, it's kind of like she already knows what to expect. There's no mystery, there's no intrigue, there's no surprise or what's the word I'm looking for? Novelty in the relationship. It goes back to make you cannot make a woman bored. So it's
Hmm.
like, even though you're saying this, you still want uncertainty to a degree because that is what spikes you guys' emotions,
That's
in my
fair. That's
opinion.
fair.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
no, that.
it's like, that's why the guys have to be careful with giving a girl everything that she wants. Like what you're saying right now, if a guy was to give you that 100% commitment, you're like, he settled for me.
Mm,
Like, be careful what you wish for.
mm. I see where you're coming from, for sure. I do, and I can
That,
really,
that's
like,
why
I
you,
feel.
like, as a guy, you have to just give realistic expectations. You have to be like, loyalty for a man is like, I'm gonna have apples 6 day out of the week. I'm gonna have an orange on the seventh. I'm
Mm,
not saying every man can get away with being in multiple relationships, but I'm just saying, like, for the right guy, girls will break their own rules that they set for lesser men just because
mhm,
of that.
mhm,
And I'm saying once you understand what I'm telling you, I got that quote from Plato as well. Like the true wealth is being content with very little. Once you actually understand that and start to embody it, it's like you won't want all the other options because of the distraction it brings. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun, it's glorious. I've been there, but it's
mhm.
also gives you peace of mind when all you have to manage is very little. Meaning, if I
Yeah,
that's why dudes, we're okay with a fucking lawn chair in our living room and a TV and like a video game system. That's all we need, and like Mountain Dews in the fridge.
yeah,
You don't have to have all this shit and material. Like that's what guys need to realize is the true measure of wealth is being content with very little, and you
yeah,
having all the options is nice, but like singling down on one and putting all of your energy into that, I think that's where you get the
yeah.
greatest fulfillment. But I'm not gonna lie, like having and entertaining multiple options is fun. It's just you have to be balanced. It can't be too much fun or too much certainty.
Mhm.
There's we live in a world of paradoxes. You gotta have a little bit of imbalance.
For sure. And I believe in that. And, I think it's important for men to know too that there is still feminine women out there. I think we live in a society today where it's
Absolutely.
like,
They're just looking in the wrong spot. The girl of your
yeah,
dreams, the girl of your
yeah,
dreams is not out dancing
no,
like in the fucking club on 14 guys just because she needs some attention. Like the girl of your dreams is probably wearing some baggy ass clothes so she doesn't get any attention inside of Barnes and Nobles, picking up the
hmm
latest crazy sex novel to fill her
hmm
wildest imagination. Because that's one thing a guy needs to realize: a woman's imagination is a man's best friend.
hmm
Anything, anything you say, nothing is more like interesting than what a girl like imagines. So it's like you cannot be boring. You have to stimulate a woman's emotion. She has to think like, is he out with other women right now? Is he doing this right now? Am I not doing enough? It strokes that, and you could be doing nothing. You could just be home working.
yeah,
You could
yeah,
just be home working.
and
It's like busy. Talk to you later. And
yeah,
they're like, what the fuck is he doing at 8 p.m. working? It's like,
right.
is he lying? Like it's some of that uncertainty that just it fuels a woman's fire and it gives them the emotional spikes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too many emotional spikes though can be a
I mean,
detriment
you
to a
have to be able to
woman.
balance it. You can't
Yeah, it
be
has
a
to be in
dickhead.
balance.
You can't be a
Yeah.
dickhead, but it's like your attention has to be a drug for her.
hmm
So it
Yeah. But that's like the thing, like there's a lot of women, like this is what I'm hoping to see in the future relationships is a place where two individuals can come from like, a healed spot where it's like, if my man is busy and he's not providing me attention, well, that doesn't make me eager to go find another man's attention. That makes me just kind of be curious about maybe what's going on in his life. Like, how can I support him, assist him? Is he really that busy? Is there something I can be doing for him? Like, that's how my mind's wired, is like, I have my purpose work I attend to every day. But like in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about like, and I honestly think this is also really important, like just before we end, like for women, we don't have the privilege of sleeping around with multiple men and not having any like consequences from it. We as women do have consequences from sleeping around a lot in our 20s. Our bonding mechanism that is formed by just being able to bond to a man
pair
diminishes, and
bonding.
that,
Yep. It goes away and your answer to everything becomes new dick. Need attention?
yeah.
New dick. It's like girls thrive when it's like one partner.
Oh,
Like they
we really do. I swear to God. And any woman who says otherwise is lying, because for
and their
me,
pH is off and their shit stinks.
yeah, no, it's an unhealthy woman, and we can lie about that
Those
all
women
day
are
long.
douching right now.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I just want to give this example because I think it's really important for women listening, or men. The part where that we just touched on is women, honestly, first and foremost, there's never going to be that perfect partner. Women like to fantasize men to be this perfect way. Men, you just want a man to be a man, and when a man's a man, that's what you want out of a relationship, is a healthy masculine man who knows his purpose, knows his worth, has self-respect. And it's your job, even let's say you do have a breakup, like for me, just to giving you an example, in August, I had a breakup, and within that, I didn't allow myself to go out and I had men coming to me. Did I accept their offer? Nope. I was like, you know what? I want to be better. I want to be a better human being. I want to be the woman that I know a man would actually value. And through this 6 months, I've retained my sexual energy. I haven't masturbated, haven't had sex for 6 months. I've done so much self-healing work on myself. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I've literally been in my house focusing on my purpose work every single day. I've made a YouTube video every single day. That was the first commitment I made to myself, was to speak instead of using my body. So that has made my purpose work actually come into life. I've actually have self-respect. I actually view sex in a very sacred way. And now it's actually a beautiful thing because I'm actually valuing, for me, I'm aware I want to be with one partner, and I don't want to have to go sleep around and figure it out. So for me, I've done all this self-healing work on myself where it's like I'm actually ready now for a partner. And actually, my ex-partner has come back into my life. I didn't once sleep around with another man. I actually always had him in the back of my mind, being like, I didn't show up properly for this man. I'm going to make myself a better individual for myself, for my future family, and for my future husband. And now that, he's kind of came back into my life, I'm so grateful that I wasn't a hoe sleeping around with men just to solidify my value, because that's not a valuable woman. The things that a man values is self-respect, is actually just being to yourself, not being a freak like out in the streets, like, but being like, just kind of a freak like for one man, and that's that. So that's like something I really wish women can do, is there is no perfect partner. Stop allowing your fantasy mind to dictate how a man should be. Allow a man to be a man, but you must show up as that woman that would be so valued by a healthy man. And I think that's just a really important thing that I want men and women to both be aware of, is there's no such thing as a perfect partner. You have to make yourself capable of being in compatibility to the right person at the right time. And face yourself and take accountability for your shit.
Yeah, so first off, masturbation is it's pretty gay if you think about it, because there's no chance of making a baby for dudes. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, when you have a problem, that's your answer, to jerk off. It's like that's what you're choosing to do. I can't imagine a bigger waste of time than expelling your energy and your like possible children. So, but two, you make a really good point that I want to bring up to dudes, is that women will say they want you to change for them and do this shit, but no, they do not. Because those are the things that got her interested in you and got her in your bed in the first place. The moment you change those, she loses respect for you. Like, this guy changed. He put me on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
That is what happens when you pedestalize a woman, is you changed who you were to get her in the first place. You no longer the guy she saw as someone in her wildest fantasies that she dreamed about. It's like, you cucked out. You sold your soul, dude. You changed.
Yeah.
Stay who
Yeah.
you are. When you say something, like, don't apologize for it, even if you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you genuinely hurt someone, like, absolutely apologize. But if bumping into somebody, I'm not going to say sorry. If I say
No,
something,
of
I
course.
fucking meant
Yeah.
it. Watch the fuck out. I'm a dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And I think that part can actually trigger like specific women, like a man like having
It
that
will, because
that
they know they can't
strong.
get away with their bullshit with me. They know I'll tell
Yeah.
them no.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
scared, because then they're like, "Oh, I might get turned on by this dude," and it's not okay by society to like a man like this. It's I definitely repel way more women than I attract, just because of how fucking blunt I am in a world where lies are at an all-time high, and people who I'm going to keep referencing Plato, because him and Socrates' words are so relevant today, thousands of years later. It's like, the person who sees past the lies of their culture will never be understood, let alone believed by the masses. And we can end it
I
on
love that.
yeah, we
I
can
think
end
that's
it
a
on that.
powerful thing to end on, because that is something I stand for. No matter how much judgment I think you and I receive by speaking the truth, it really doesn't matter, because this is how true change happens. It's not by just falling into what's being programmed and shutting up about it. Like, speaking out is how actually things change. So, yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm actually doing something about it, and if you're that offended, just come fucking fight me.
Hmm.
If you're one of these basement dwellers wiping Cheeto crumbs off on your shorts right now after you just smoked your little vape pen to leave an angry comment, like, come do something about it. Like, these
Oh,
are the
also,
manly boys.
I want to know, men, if there's any men smoking on any vapes, please know, when a woman sees that, like when I see a man smoking on any vape, all I picture, all I picture is him as a little baby, like sucking on his mouth in his mom's like tit still. Like, I
Mommy's
see him as
boys.
just like, yes. So I think there's healthier ways to deal with your emotions, is actually just using them to propel you into a better future.
Yeah, go do push-ups. Like, I'd rather you punch holes in the walls than smoke fucking vape pens.
Me too. Me too.
Now, I know your name's got to be Kyle You have to drink Monster Energy drinks if you're going to hit
Right.
holes in your walls. But besides the general stereotype against cows, where can they find you at, Maya? This has been really fun.
Oh, this is so great. I'm so grateful for you having me on your podcast because I love talking about this stuff. But I only have YouTube. My YouTube channel is Magic Maya, and that is the only social media platform I have.
Okay, and if they want to come take you out on a date, what do they got to do?
um, oh God. See, that's the thing. I don't really fall for a lot of things that maybe women would be easily persuaded by. You know, right now in my life, I am kind of trying to. I think right now I don't know if me even dating someone right now is on the table. I think I'm really focusing just personally right now on just bettering myself as a woman for a specific man, and that's kind of where I'm at. But if you are wanting to take a woman out, just be in your masculinity and don't allow like any weak thoughts to make you into a weak man because that shit can be noticed by a woman and she'll be repulsed by it. So just stand out as a man, have a voice, have a backbone.
Have some
Please,
fucking balls.
please God, be in anger rather than despair. Like I would rather men be in anger and use that anger rather than just being like depressed and alone in your bedroom just weeping. Like use that and do something out of that energy. But I also, did you say you live in Austin?
Yeah, I just moved over here around Austin.
Oh, I'm visiting Austin in like 2 weeks.
Okay, well, I'll have to take you out when you get here then.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for like 2 weeks, so that's funny. I thought I heard you say Austin. I was like, oh, I'm going there in like 2 weeks. So
Yeah, I just
yeah.
moved here from Kentucky, so I'd like to see that pretty smile in person.
Oh, thank you.
My pleasure, dear. So it's been an absolute pleasure connecting with you. You guys go give her channel, subscribe if you want to hear more about what the girl next door really has going on in her brain. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
hope
I mean, I do. I show up every day on that channel. I just try my best to like assist. I think men in general right now, that's definitely a purpose of mine, and just bringing back some health into that space and some truth and some triggers here and there. But that's all good.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast with Maya. I'll put her channel down in the description if you guys want to go check her stuff out. Don't leave no fucking stupid comments if you're a dude. That shit's weak. But if you want to understand, by all means, go sneak and snoop on her profile because it gives you an insight as to what majority of women really think, but most are just too scared to admit because of societal standards and pressure. So go give her a follow, and I will see you guys in the next interview. Peace out.
Thank you.